Hello. I think it's fair to say that English food is not very well known for its high quality and taste. It's not like, say, French food, which has a reputation for quality, style and taste. But I think that's unfair, so I'll be arguing in this short talk that English food is worth a try. But where to start? If I walk along the street that leads from my workplace to the city centre, there's a huge array of places to eat, from serving simple sandwiches to full 5-course meals. Not all of them are English, of course, or British food, but a few are. So let's start with the classics and then move on to the less well-known British delicacies. I suppose the most well-known British food to overseas visitors is fish and chips, served, of course, in yesterday's newspaper. I'll have to be honest here and say I don't really enjoy fish and chips. I'll eat it, but I won't go out of my way to find a good chippy, as they're often known. Fish and chip shops are mostly takeaway, so the food is usually served in a tray surrounded by paper, but not yesterday's newspaper. That would be terribly unhygienic. The fish is filleted, so there are no bones, and it is deep fried in batter. Batter is made from flour, egg and milk, all mixed together to form a thick liquid, which the fish is dipped into and then deep fried in oil. Chips are, of course, also deep fried in oil, hence it's not exactly a healthy meal. Some people like beans or mushy peas on their fish and chips, others just like salt and vinegar. And I suppose if you're coming to the UK for the first time, you have to try fish and chips. A bit like if you go to Japan, you have to try sushi, and in Spain you have to eat paella, or paella, as they say it, I think. However, fish and chips is not the only thing the British eat. The second favourite meal of many Brits is the Sunday roast lunch. Now, this is something that I grew up with every Sunday as a child. And it is something of an event because it takes so long to cook. Starting with the meat, there's usually a choice between roast beef, roast chicken or roast pork. On special occasions, roast turkey. Now, these are big pieces of meat that are cooked in the oven for well over an hour. The actual time depends on the size of the joint of meat. The meat is served with potatoes, of course, either boiled or better, roasted. Some vegetables, carrots, peas, broccoli, that sort of thing. Yorkshire pudding, which is basically the same as the batter that the fish from the fish and chips is cooked in. But like the meat, it is cooked in the oven. So that's, Yorkshire pudding. Lovely. And gravy. Now, gravy is made from the juices of the meat that are collected in the baking tray. Many people use an extra powder called Bisto gravy granules, and this gravy is poured over the meal. Something called stuffing is also popular. This is a strange looking thing, but incredibly tasty. It's made from onion, sage and breadcrumbs, salt, pepper and egg. Now, when all of this food is put together, it forms a meal which is both large and very tasty. I wouldn't recommend trying to cook it if you've never tried before. Most restaurants in Britain serve a Sunday lunch on Sundays, so well worth a try. I think the Sunday lunch might be where British food, at least in part, gets its poor reputation for two reasons. Firstly, a lot of people think that we boil everything that we cook, and that we boil everything for far too long. So long, in fact, that all of the flavour disappears. Now, it's true that the vegetables in the Sunday lunch may be boiled, but they could also be steamed. And it may have been true for previous generations that vegetables were overboiled, but I don't think that's true nowadays. Secondly, the traditional Sunday lunch does not use a lot of the herbs and spices that we see to give it flavour. There's no paprika, coriander, turmeric, cloves, cumin, chilli, nothing like that. And why not? Well, I think the reason is the weather in the UK. We know it's rainy, but that makes it a good climate for growing vegetables. And the grass that the cows eat is so green and lush that there's no need to flavour the beef with the types of herbs and spices I just mentioned. The taste is already in the food, so the spices and herbs, they're just not required. The third meal I think visitors to the UK should definitely try is the full English breakfast. The majority of hotels offer this in some form every morning. It consists of a lot of pork in the form of sausages and bacon, plus a fried or poached or scrambled egg, maybe baked beans, mushrooms, tomatoes, and if you're lucky, a hash brown. And I nearly forgot the black pudding. Some people like black pudding, I don't. Some of those things are optional. Personally, I don't feel the need for the tomatoes, and I always avoid the black pudding. Some people will even add bread that has been fried in the fat from the bacon and sausage. Black pudding, by the way, is pig's blood cooked with fat and oatmeal to form a sausage-like shape, which is sliced up. So those are the three must-tries of traditional British food. There are regional variations on these, but those are the basics. There are also many other recipes that we could call traditionally British, like shepherd's pie, cottage pie, bangers and mash, toad in the hole, but they all contain many of the basic ingredients that I already mentioned with the Sunday roast lunch: meat, potatoes and veg. Probably haven't got time to go into the more the delicacies of British food, like the cheeses we offer. So let's return to this idea that English food is not well known for its high quality taste and style. Why is that unfair? Well, I already mentioned this common misconception that vegetables are overcooked, boiled for too long so they have no taste. That overboiling doesn't happen so much nowadays. I also mentioned that traditional British food doesn't use a lot of herbs and spices. Quite simply, it just doesn't need to. If the vegetables are fresh and in season, they already contain a lot of taste. The same for the meat. So they don't need anything besides a little salt and perhaps pepper. So, although British food has this bad reputation, I would recommend you try at least two of those three that I've mentioned there: the fish and chips, the Sunday lunch, and the full English breakfast. Cheeses are fantastic in Britain as well, so if you like cheese, do try some British cheeses. So there we are. Thank you.